All right, you've returned. And what say you of Winds of Change and Fitz and his Tantrums?
Yep, contractually obliged to return.
Yeah, it's in the fine print.
It was part of my signing on fee.
It's showtime, folks.
Hey everybody, and welcome to another episode of Into the Music. I'm here with my erstwhile colleague Andy. Andy, what's cooking?
Not a damn thing. Just in the music or just in the music. I'm just in the music. I'm just in the mood to hear some music and try to consolidate my sentences as best I can. But yeah, I'm in the mood to hear some music, and I'm sure you are too. So we've met here, and I'm going to throw you a little number if that's okay by you.
Okay, I'll put my falafels to one side then. And
excellent, good. Please.
What have you got for us?
I've got a band called Fitz and the Tantrums. Are you familiar, or have you heard of Fitz and the Tantrums?
No, I'm familiar with Tantrums. I know someone called Fitz. I've never seen him have a tantrum, and I'm not aware of the band.
Okay, cool. Well, let's make this thing come full circle then. And we'll give you a tune called Winds of Change. So give that a listen and let me know what you think.
10-4.
Excellent.
Okay, so this is what would you call it? Neo soul. I never liked that term. Yeah, it's nice, the old fashioned. Some great background vocals. Really like those voices, and a slapping sax chugging away. That's really good as well. Yeah.
Queen of right, got no king of wrong. Bring it on, you play on. Go find someone else. You never felt this before. I don't feel the same anymore, 'cause I don't need this shit going on. Any day now.
the longest fade out in history. Nothing wrong with his voice. I don't think it was particularly remarkable or anything, but her voice I could listen to all day. Back to the ranch.
All right, you've returned. And what say you of Winds of Change and Fitz and his Tantrums?
Yep, contractually obliged to return.
Yeah, it's in the fine print.
It was part of my signing on fee. Yeah, so this was interesting. I would say, I have to be honest, it's not an A+ song for me.
Mm-hmm.
It was a grower, and actually during the song I started to like it more and more. There were sort of bits in it I really, really liked, and then other bits that I didn't, not hate, but just didn't grab me as much. Mm-hmm. So I would say, first off, I believe this is what you call neo soul or whatever. I was struck afterwards listening to it, the difference between the sort of American sounding neo soul and British. You know, there's a real difference. Mm-hmm. And I guess I'm not as overly familiar with the American side of it. It started off, and had a really nice vibe to it. Absolutely love the saxophone that was stonking all the way through. It gave a great sort of forward thrust to it as well. Really good. The guy singing, I liked his voice, but I didn't go a bundle for it. But I found that I really liked the verses, and the choruses didn't grab me. And I don't know why. But I found whenever the female singer came in, Jesus Christ, I fell in love with her voice completely. And there's a bit in the bridge where, you know, she starts riffing away. And I could have listened to that all day. That was absolutely sublime. So as I say, and I was thinking, this is all right, this is all right. And by the end of it, it did get me. It's catchy as hell, and so it was in my head, you know. So, you know, I did like it. There's some interesting, as usual, I only picked up some of the lyrics.
As you do.
Yeah, he was talking. I mean, I got the gist of it. I think he was talking about the bitch's back, but not for long. I don't need this shit going on, and variants of, and then Winds of Change. So I was wondering if this refers to me, it seemed like it was referring to an ex that he'd met, and she's kind of back on the scene, and he's saying, you know, walk on by, as it were. Yeah, that was what I got from it. You know, it's just like, I don't need your crap anymore. I think the Winds of Change, though, I mean, that confused me a little bit, because it kind of, that makes me think that this is happening, you know, Winds of Change are happening now. But I'd have thought she's coming back and he's saying move on, means the Winds of Change already happened. You know, it's a done thing. He's over that, you know.
Yeah.
Which isn't always the case. But yeah, I would say also, yeah, it reminded me a little bit of Sharon Jones and the Dat Kings. I don't know if you're familiar with that.
No.
If you like this, you'll love that.
Okay.
And the DAP Kings DAP Kings on and off were the backing band for Ronson.
Okay.
When he did all his stuff. So they got chops.
Okay. Awesome.
And she did about 4 or 5 albums before she died. I don't know the circumstances, unfortunately, but that's worth checking out. So it kind of reminded me of that in a way. But overall, I'd say this is a solid B+. You know, I would never, I would not turn this off by any means. I enjoyed it, but I wouldn't reach for it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, sure. I've been there before, definitely.
Yeah.
There are plenty of songs that sort of meet that criteria or fall under that.
Yeah.
So, Yeah, we've yet to really dig into, like, you and I are like, we just throw guitar rock at each other, different variations of it pretty regularly. So I was like, let's try
Yeah,
something a
yeah.
little bit different. And it is kind of, go ahead.
I appreciate that actually, because I have the same mindset as well. That there's a lot of other stuff out there that we don't really scratch the surface of, and there's a lot of stuff that I was into, which hasn't aired in this channel, and I think is important. Sort of like the acid jazz stuff, or that I was into, and even soul and hip hop as well. There's loads of that stuff which we haven't touched the surface of. So this was a welcome change.
Yeah, it's one of those things where, like, I don't want to fall into like a trope, or like have people like sort of like come to expect that this is all we listen to. And because I know that you listen to other kinds of music, but we tend to be like, this is what I like, or I have a good feeling about this, and we do that. But I think it's really good to expand our horizons, maybe introduce some bands and sounds to the channel and to the folks out there that might be watching, to give them a glimpse of some of the other stuff that we listen to and that they might like. And this is like, I would say, yeah, it's funny because it's like neo soul. It's like blue-eyed soul, and and I think the part that maybe you're struggling with, and I don't know if it is or not, but I don't know enough about British neo soul to be able to be like, oh, this is the difference. But this really leans into sort of like a pop element to the song that I think maybe you don't feel as much in really traditional soul, or even the neo soul that tries to hearken or tip its hat to that kind of sound. But I do like, I think this song is, because you're right, there is some playing with, like, is he talking past tense? Is he talking now? And the idea of the winds of change, they blow in my direction. I think it's like a realization that it's the end of a relationship and sort of the airing of grievances. The whole, one of my favorite lines is sitting there, your little throne, the queen of right, got no king of wrong to bring it on. You play on, go find someone else. Like, it's just the end of the relationship, and the guys, acknowledging it and kind of putting it all out there. There's another bit where he says, winds of change, they blow in my direction. We both see that it's time. Go on, cry. Don't say words of inspiration. We both know that it's time. So walk on by. So yeah, it's just sort of, I think, like a come to Jesus moment at the end of a relationship, where you realize these are emotions you're going through and not emotions you're feeling. It's kind of dead there. So yeah, I mean, it's unfortunate. I've been there before. I'm sure plenty of people have had and can kind of relate to the nature of it. And there are far more, for me anyway, far more redeeming sonic things happening in this song than there are ones where I'm like, ho hum. And you're absolutely right. And I want to get her name right, because I know it's Noelle. Yeah, Noelle Skaggs, I believe, is the woman whose voice that you're hearing, like, do the, like, flirting with the vocal runs and hitting those high notes, hanging around, doing all that fun stuff, and you're like, oh shoot, yeah,
she was back in the room.
But yeah, it's Michael Fitzpatrick, Noelle Skaggs, Joel Carnes, James King, Jeremy Rusna, and John Wicks, and they are again indie pop, neo soul, and they're from LA. And this song was off their debut album that is called Picking Up the Pieces, I believe, and that came out in 2010. So yeah, and they put out other stuff since then that's really good. But I really liked this first album. It was kind of a 2010. I'm mired in the indie stuff that's happening, and it's indie guitar rock. And then this comes in, and it's like, oh, this is like, I wasn't, one more neo soul band I can add to like the scant few that I really gravitate toward and listen to. So, and you're right, man, that saxophone just was killer too. It's like Noelle's voice and the saxophone are kind of what carry the day in this song, if you ask me anyway.
Yeah, No, I think it's spot on there with the points you make. I mean, this song in particular, I think, because I really like the start and I like the verse. I think the chorus was just too middle of the road for me. And there's nothing wrong in that at all. It just didn't do what I kind of expected of it. I expected to go one way and it went another. And again, there's nothing wrong with the song at all, but it just didn't quite grab me as it would. But you're right in terms of the music. I mean, just made me feel really old. I mean, the similar sort of thing happened to me sort of around 1990. So guitars, 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 guitars. And then there was this burst on the British scene of well, there was crappy house music and there was some decent, but I mean, I'm not really into dance. But then this acid soul, this acid jazz came through, and it was just amazing. And there was this level of, and it was really British as well, as you have bands like Galliano, Brand New Heavies, etc., and really pushing it. And that opened up whole avenues for me that I wouldn't have even considered. You know, I mean, I'd listened to Motown and stuff back in the day, but that was about, and James Brown, but that was, and blues, and that was about it, really. So, you know, proper soul and modern soul, just, you know, and it really opens your eyes, you know, and it's such, don't get me wrong, as I said before, guitars make me smile, you know, and I do love it, but it's so refreshing to get something else now and again, you know.
Yeah,
and it's important to it as well, I think.
Yeah,
so
yeah, it's good to
how long is it? Do you say this is 2010?
Yes, yeah, 2010.
Are they still going?
Yeah, they're still going. They've been
I see a market. Yeah.
They've been a house band for a lot of like fun events and stuff like that out west.
Yeah, you can see that.
Yeah. I think they really hit their, or sort of garnered their following from a South by Southwest tour in 2010. That really, like, I think they put on some great performances that got press. Then they started doing the late night circuit, performing some of the songs that were deemed singles off their debut. And it was just kind of off to the races for them. I mean, not like, you know, when there's so much, when the market is so saturated in music, it's really hard to like become an iconic band, a legendary band anymore. But they definitely picked up steam. They definitely garnered a larger following, and they've been putting out music ever since, and they definitely got a strong following about them. And I think it is because it's just a refreshing take on an old sound that isn't exactly the stereotypical style of music that a lot of their followers probably listen to. You know what I mean? A lot of their followers are people like me who are like, oh, this is accessible and interesting and new and not what I normally listen to. And that's why they go on a lot of these mixed act kind of festivals and stuff where you're not just getting one kind of music, you're sort of like a la carte picking from genres, great bands from different genres, and putting together these summer festivals and touring fests and stuff like that. And they're a great band for it just because it's the perfect kind of like, you know, late day, early evening festival music before all the hard rockers start up in the evening, the later at night and stuff. So yeah, it was, I like these guys a lot. So figured I'd throw them at you and take a shot. I'm glad it wasn't a complete failure and that you were.
No, at all.
Yeah.
No, at all. Cool. No, I could see that. It's weird how these sort of sounding bands tend to have a lot more flexibility in what they're able to do. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They can do that sort of stuff. Interesting, you mentioned the album Picking Up the Pieces. I once went to this place in early 90s in London. I think it was called the Purple Lounge. And it was Europe's only 7 nights a week funk club. And it was what you imagined it to be. The carpets were about that thick, you know. Everyone looked amazing. The house band was, at the time when I went, the Average White Band, which did Picking Up the Pieces, yeah. And we had a hell of a night there, I have to say.
Yeah.
Don't remember much after about 10:30, but we had a hell of a night.
Yeah.
But it's this feel-good smiley music, isn't it? You can't help but feel good about it.
Yeah, without it being too overly cheesy, which a lot of like smiley stuff tries to do sometimes, or tries to be like, oh, that's sickeningly sweet. This is just in the right pocket of that kind of kind of, so cool. Well, I'm glad you like it. I'll take it away. everybody out there and into the music world, thanks so much for tuning in, giving this a view, giving us your time. We really appreciate it. If you want to hit the like button, that'd be swell. Maybe even if you're feeling bold or crazy, a share. Hit the bell icon so you're notified of when we drop new videos. And as always, John and I and Greg will see you on the next episode of Into the Music.
Cheerio.